Part of my obsession quest is to take all 6 different species of bear on the Safari Club list. The Alaskan brown bear, the Alaskan grizzly bear, the barren ground grizzly, the polar bear, the common black bear, and the island bear. 6 different species. This week we're going to do the Alaskan grizzly bear and the barren ground grizzly out of Canada. 2 different species. What an exciting show. Makes me think of when we first started the bear camp back in Ontario with Jerry Ochtenberg that has since passed away. Good friend, good memories. This is to you, Jerry, my good friend.
Victor Chevrolet, Bass Pro Shops, and Alamocitos Ranch present Bob Folkrod's Hunting Adventures. 7 continents, 80 species, a 5-year quest in the making. High adventure, dangerous game, real-world training tips. This is Bob Folkrod's Hunting Adventures.
The Bering Strait and its sea ice form one of the most productive ecosystems on the planet. Churning currents bring forth nutrients that support some of the biggest animals on Earth, including huge grizzly bears.
Well, the difference between hunting here in the springtime and hunting in the fall is you just never know in the springtime when it's going to break up, what the weather's going to do.
The spring hunt is generally a boat hunt where you cruise the beaches, you follow 20 to 30 miles of shoreline in an evening, and you view the beach looking for bears. And generally there's a good population, you see good numbers, and they migrate here in the spring more or less to the beaches because that's the first big food source they have. And bears are opportunists. Where there's food, that's where they're going to be.
Well, we got off the airplane and Vance met us with a big smile and shook our hand. He says, well, I got good news and I got bad news. And I said, well, what's the good news? He says, well, you're here. And I said, what's the bad news? He says, the ice hasn't left yet. And when the ice hasn't left, that means a lot of things. You can't get to where you want to go, and without the ice breakup, it doesn't bring the food source back in to make the bears want to come to the ocean.
We'll get a little better look at this ice.
Oh, she's socked in, isn't she?
Yeah, it's really held fast to the shoreline right here because it's shallow. There's not a lot of depth to the water, and that ice will stay here. But as soon as we get a high tide, it'll lift up, and if we get a little east wind, it'll blow it right out, west to the ocean.
Yeah.
That's what we're waiting for. It's getting broke up, though. You can see how it's busting up a little bit, and every day it'll get a little better.
Well, she comes right up close then to bring all that wood and everything up on shore like that, huh?
Yeah, when we get a strong west wind, when there's no ice here, it'll bring this wood right up and pile it up, and we get some good storms in September.
Huh.
There'll be 10, 12-foot breakers out here.
Well, I guess we'll just wait for Mother Nature to break it up for us. Huh?
Yeah.
Nothing else we can do, right?
It'll take care of it.
Yeah.
And as the tide comes in, this ice is going to lift up, and we get the right wind, and it's gone. It'll go west. And we'll be in good shape.
So you're just telling me patience, right?
Patience. A little bit of patience, and we'll be out of here.
All right.
Although Bob completed his obsession quest taking over 80 animals with a rifle, his first love has always been bow hunting. He's teamed up with longtime friend and archery coach Mike Price to help make you a better bow shot.
Today we're going to talk about release choices. We're going to talk about a caliper style release, which today I think about 90% of the hunters use these. One of the first things you want to do is you want to fit it to your wrist. So that's my first fit, because this release is adjustable by removing that screw and that screw, so it'll adjust to the length of my hand or my finger when I'm at full draw, because they all stretch. So don't be convinced as soon as you hold it that it's too short, because a lot of guys, I'll put it in their hand and they'll go, oh my gosh, Mike, that's way too short. But you'll see, even with a simulator, that it stretches out and it fits me perfectly. So fit, the release fit is a huge deal because my bow can fit me. If I put another release in my hand that is longer, that just made my draw length too long. And if it's shorter, it made it too short. So before you set your draw length with the other parameters we gave you, remember the release is an integral part of your draw length. With a caliper style release or any release, you can shoot this thing pretty much 4 different ways. You can slap the snot out of the trigger, which is usually the least accurate. You can slow manipulate it. So if I anchor and I slowly squeeze it like a rifle and my hand stays on my jaw, that's slow manipulation. As I anchor into my jaw, like we talked about previously, and I just squeeze the trigger. If you come to full draw, you get on the trigger, and I increase my back tension or pull on the bow a little bit more, and I squeeze the trigger at the same time, that's slow manipulation and back tension all in one. And then I get up here and I squeeze, my hand comes off because I have preloaded pressure in my back. Then you can use pure back tension, which I hook around the trigger and I increase the pressure in my back, which pulls on the release. My hand stretches out a little bit and the release goes off, which I'll demonstrate for you. I relax, get up around the trigger, and I just increase the pressure on my bow with my back, and the shot just breaks. What we forget is we all think that the only torque on the bow, or where we can torque the bow, is at our bow hand. You can torque the bow as much at your loop, if not more, than your bow hand. So whatever you do to the loop, you do to the arrow. If you're on top of the trigger like this, and every time you execute, you hammer it down, well, the back of your loop goes down. We're in the age of very, very high let-off bows, which remember, whatever you do to the loop, you do to the arrow. If your loop goes down, the back of the arrow dishes just a little bit. So this should help you with accuracy with a caliper release.
Bob Folkrod's Hunting Adventures is brought to you by these fine sponsors: Vortex and Buck Fever Synthetics.
For the love of mud, gravel, and trail dust. For the love of farm roads, dirt roads, and no roads. For the love of hunting, fishing, and working the land. For the love of conservation, preservation, and restoration. Introducing Tracker off-road vehicles, designed and built on American soil for kicking up American soil. Tracker off-road, built for love of country.
When we face adversity, we find a way through it. It's about taking care of each other. It's the small parts that make a big difference. At Chevy, we promise to do ours. We're offering current Chevy owners OnStar Crisis Assist services and complimentary Wi-Fi data. To help keep you on the road, the Chevy Certified Service Experts are here and ready to help if you require parts, maintenance, or repairs. You can even schedule your service appointments online. It's just our way of doing our part.
We're hunting on the western coast of Alaska, a little village called Utaclique, and we wasn't off the airplane, only about 5 minutes going back to Vance's home. And as you drove through, there was boats all over. There was little boats, big boats, giant boats, and it didn't take very long to figure it out this was a fishing village.
You'll find in most of northwestern Alaska here, and Alaska probably in general, that when people came here, you had to have good drinking water, and being along the coast, that would mean you usually set your village up, or the villages were formed wherever there's a river. Well, that river also was a food source because of all the salmon that come in. It allows them to have plenty of food, and the river not only provides the fresh water, then there's a food source, and almost all the villages are along or near a stream.
Like his prey, the hunter is dependent on the weather. For 4 days, Bob Folkrod has been waiting for the famous Bering Strait sea ice to break up, using that time to explore the people and culture of Unalakleet. Today, he finally hears the news he has been waiting for.
Well, we're on our way here. Gonna get a start on this hunt.
Yeah. Where have we been? 4 days? 5 days?
At least four waiting.
Yeah. Well, I'll get the anchor. Well, being on the ocean, I was like a fish out of the water. I mean, I know weather can change, and if it changes in the mountains, I can always crawl under a tree someplace and get dry, or if I'm on horses, we can ride back to the tent, and there's a lot of things that can happen. But on the ocean, well, I tell you what, you need a guide that knows it, and at the same time, you better respect it.
I moved to Alaska in 1977, actually July of '77. And I signed a teaching contract here in Unalakleet. I taught for 1 year, and then I got into commercial fishing and guiding, and I've been in the guiding and fishing ever since.
For the hunter, the first sighting of the species he has targeted is an exciting moment, especially after all the waiting Bob Fulkrod has had to endure. He and Vance haven't traveled far before Bob knows he has come to the right place.
Well, this is what it's about.
That was beautiful.
What I think that was a pretty nice female, because if you noticed, it really appeared wide and short.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think we had us a beautiful female there, but we'll keep looking. We find that a little bit, another 6 inches to a foot on that bear, and we'd have been done.
Farther down the coast, Bob and Vance come across one of the most rare and dangerous sights in nature, a mother grizzly with her cubs, and she provides ample evidence of this animal's awesome power.
Boy, that first mother and cub that we saw way up on top of the hill, they seen, and we came in and they heard that boat hit the shore a little bit. So they started out. Their mother was taking them to safety, which was, up in the alders. And she couldn't get there. The rocks were rolling down off the cliff, and she's kind of looking, and she had to come back down off. And she was a big female, and the cubs was pretty decent size too. She would have bumped them out. She would have bred this year. Oh man, look at that.
Its cubs are in its second year. It'll probably kick them out this fall.
Yeah.
She sure is a majestic looking bear though, isn't it?
Oh, if that was a big male, man, if we could get to shore, we'd be shooting that one.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful bear.
Just gorgeous. These bears are more like sheep around here though, the way they go on these cliffs.
Oh, I mean, just the sheer power of that bear going up over that cliff is unreal. She knows there's something. Look at him, go after her. Isn't that something? Look at him.
That's straight up.
That's all. That's. I'll tell you what, you just don't see that every day. Look at that.
That's really beautiful.
Look at, she's standing straight up.
That's straight up.
Straight up right there. She was almost right straight up.
It's unbelievable what they can do. I have seen them climb steeper stuff than this. I've actually...
That is nothing but sheer power right there.
That's a good solid 7.5 foot female. Really, really, really something.
Well, it just shows you what conservation has done for the grizzly bears to bring them back like that to where you can hunt them every year. It's because people let bears like that go, you know?
That's exactly right.
We don't have to shoot females.
Nope.
All you got to do is just cherish the moment right there.
Yeah. It don't get much better than that.
It doesn't get much better than that right there. That's Mother Nature at its best.
It sure is.
Transportation for all of Bob Volkrod's hunting adventures is provided by Victor Chevrolet. Check them out at victorchevrolet.com.
As the sum of each generation before it, the next generation Corvette stands alone as the new standard of precision and performance, of engineering and technology, of everything that makes an icon, and a Corvette, a Corvette.
Bob Volkrod and his guide Vance Grishkowski have seen many grizzlies on the cliffs above Norton Sound, but the right bear, in the right situation, has yet to present itself. Always on the hunt, Bob decides to pursue another Bering Sea trophy, the Alaskan king crab.
There's a lot of places you can hunt grizzly bears, and one thing that really appealed to me on this, as Mother Nature's breakup, the bears come out of the hills and they come to the ocean because they know that's going to be their first food source of the year, and they kind of just migrate back in here. So when you're traveling down by boat and you look up on the hills or you look on the sides or even on the beach, you know, you can see a bear at any time. So, I mean, as you're sitting in a boat, you don't have much relaxation time because you're constantly looking for bears. And we knew we was going to be sitting in a boat and catching a lot of air and a cold from the ice coming off and the ocean spray. And but you may peel down off from that if we had to go on a long stalk. So, you know, it's you're layering up, layering down. You're ready for anything that Mother Nature can throw at you. And with the clothing that we have today, boy, it's a pleasure to be able to go on some of these hunts. I think about, you know, my grandfather and my father not having the clothing. Boy, I want to tell you, those folks were tough. We got the clothes today. It's just fantastic. There's no reason for you to be uncomfortable today with the clothing that we have out there.
Bob and Vance have spotted a bear above the beach. He's up in the cliffs, but not so high they can't retrieve him. They decide to put on a stalk. 2 rifles are always better than 1 when sneaking up on a grizzly.
Bob, let's just go up there and see if we can get him. Are you ready? Are you ready?
What do you think? 6, 7 foot. Let him stop right there yet.
You make your mind up pretty quick.
He's pretty small. We passed up bears better than that.
You'll get one, a big one. We had to make the stalk.
I had to make it. It was a good stalk.
That's what it's
Pretty bear.
gorgeous bear.
That's one of them things when you're doing a stalk. Things happen quick and you're trying to judge him, and
You don't want to get too impatient.
He was beautiful, but he wasn't big.
No, he wasn't a big bear.
I think the toughest elements on this this grizzly hunt was, you know, maybe the waiting, you know, waiting for Mother Nature to break up. I kind of had it in my head when I came up here what I was looking for. Not necessarily the biggest bear in the world, but I wanted that experience to watch a bear come down the beach.
After 11 days of hunting the jagged Alaskan coast, Bob's patience is finally rewarded.
Wait. On your heels. Yeah.
If we get to that rock right there, we got it made.
The wind is perfect, and that noise on the ocean's okay. I think as soon as his head's down, we'll run for there, huh?
There it is. I got him now.
You got him?
Yep. All we gotta do is wait for the shot now.
But he is pretty.
There he is. Here we go, Vance. Here we go.
Take him.
He's down. Good job.
Hey, partner.
All right.
Good job, I was right. What a deal, huh?
What a deal, I'm telling you. We'll just take a walk up to him, take a look at him. Well, Vance, I want to tell you, it's been a pleasure to hunt with you and keeping me safe. I mean, I tell you, you know, being out there on the ocean, I'm kind of out of my elements on that, and you know, I'm a little nervous out there, you know.
Well, you did real well,
Yeah.
and you spotted this grizzly. Isn't that something, though? I mean, we're driving along, and he can hide in these ice crevices, and there's nothing, and all of a sudden there he is.
Oh, it was.
You know?
It was.
It's a pretty neat hunt. When it all falls together, it really, really is nice.
Well, again, I appreciate it. You haven't seen the last of me, I guarantee you that.
It was a lot of fun, boy. I really enjoyed it.
This segment has been brought to you by the Victor Chevrolet Deal of the Week. Check them out at victorchevrolet.com.
Barren ground grizzlies are never easy to find. Because they lack the resources of their more southerly cousins, they have huge 1,000-mile territories. They stay constantly on the move, searching for protein, making them far more aggressive when they come across potential prey.
Geez, we got lucky. We was kind of hanging the edge there and looking up in the cliffs, and we hadn't even seen a track, and all of a sudden, you know, I guess he was in the rocks or trying to go up. He heard the sled or something, and there's a bear. What we did was we just turned right around and went back around the island and got in front of him. Yeah, okay, we'll get on that bank right there. Here. There's some binoculars. 170 yards. I don't think he got in front of us, do you? Gosh, sakes, he's a big bear. Oh, he was part. Huh?
7 feet plus.
Oh yeah, gosh sakes. I didn't expect to see something like that up here. We didn't know whether he'd find an escape route and go up over, or whether he'd come out in front of us. George, there it is, right there. Oh, man. How about that, man, huh? Can you believe that? Holy jeez. I can't believe we're sitting there right along like that and he got up. He couldn't get up over that hill, could he? He had to come around this corner like this. That bank, I thought maybe he'd run up a little further up on the side there, but man, he was hugging this, I guess this big old snowbank. Whew. What a bear. Let's go look at him, man. Boy, look at the claws on him. Look at that. He's been digging. It wore down a little bit. Oh, that's a gorgeous bear. Look at the head on that boy. You talk about barren ground. This is truly barren ground. Not truly a barren ground grizzly. That's a big old bear there.
After your successful hunt of a lifetime, contact Wes Good at CanadiStudio.com for the finest taxidermy in the business.
For advertising opportunities with Bob Folkrod's Hunting Adventures, please contact Bob at bgfolkrod@gmail.com.